Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Blink Conversations of Life, Love, and Gratitude. I'm your host today, Tanisha Campbell, one of four community relations coordinators. And we understand that life can happen in the blink of an eye. Here at Gift of Life Michigan, MOTEP, the Minority Organ Tissue Transplant Education Program, we want to share stories of those impacted in the blink. This series will feature donor families, recipients, volunteers, and advocates. The Blink is designed to bring real stories of real individuals and families. If you would like to be a guest on The Blink, contact me, Tanisha Campbell, at tcampbell@golm.org or log into Volunteer Hub, to sign up. Today, I am excited because we have an amazing guest. We have Bill, who had a life-saving kidney transplant 10 years ago. And not only did Bill have a transplant 10 years ago, but Bill is also an avid skier, and he is going to share some of his love of skiing with us today. Welcome, Bill. We are happy to have you on the show today.
Hi, Tanisha. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, Bill. I'm so excited to have you here. My family and I, we go skiing. I would say every year, but we don't necessarily go every year anymore. But we do go often. So let's hop right into it. Bill, can you give us a little bit of background about who you are?
Well, I live in Grayling, up north.
Okay.
I'm 58 years old right now. I am a ski instructor and I run a snow sports school and work for a couple of other ski areas in Michigan at Shush and at Nubs. So I keep myself very busy, and especially in the winters, it's an everyday thing. And I am amazed that I can continue to do this.
Well, we are excited that you are still able to do this. So let's hop into what have you experienced that has happened to you in the blink of an eye?
Well, back in 1999, I became very sick and didn't quite know what was wrong and ended up having to go to the doctor, of course. And I was diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease. This is a disease that is usually hereditary. It's passed down through families. Usually one person has it, other people in the family do. In my particular family, we can't find anybody at the time, but which is kind of unusual. But when I was diagnosed in 2000, my urologist said it was the worst case he had ever seen, and I didn't realize what it was because I didn't know what polycystic kidney disease was.
Right.
But between the year 2000 and 2004, kidneys grow from polycystic kidney disease, and they grow huge. And I was not aware of that until they started. But it's a very painful disease, which envelops the kidneys and causes them to die, I continued to work and ski. At the time, I was a deputy sheriff, and I was working in a school as a school liaison officer. So I continued to work and ski during the time 2000 to 2004. In 2004, my dialysis unit that was monitoring me said the kidneys were failing. I needed to prepare for dialysis in 2004. So I went, had a fistula put in, did the whole workup and everything. During that workup, it was found that my heart had been damaged from high blood pressure from the polycystic kidney disease, and damaged pretty severely. The aortic valve was leaking, and there were some other issues. So in that September, I went in, I was sent to Mayo Clinic. They were going to do an experimental type of operation where they wrapped that valve so you didn't have to take blood thinners anymore. They're going to try to keep me working. And if I had a artificial valve put in and blood thinners, I'd have to retire right away. I couldn't continue working.
You would have to retire from being a deputy?
Right. Yeah, the blood
Okay.
thinners would make it too dangerous for me to continue working.
Okay.
So they tried that operation and at Mayo to fix that. During that procedure, they found a huge aneurysm in the descending aorta that would have burst within months. That would have killed me instantly. So that was lucky I went in for that. That saved my life instantly right there. So they fixed that aneurysm, and that saved my life right there for the first time. I returned to work in January 2005. I continued to work and ski. But in 2006, the heart repair failed. And I was having extreme distress. There were some very, very hard situations that I couldn't continue to go through. I went in, they found that had failed. So in July of 2006, I went in for the second open heart operation. And that one, they had to put in the valve, artificial valve, and blood thinners. And then I had to retire. So in 2006, I'd been sick for 6 years, and I could not fight that off anymore. And I had to retire then.
Oh, wow.
At that time, I was 44. And I was pretty
young.
Yeah, I couldn't believe what was going on.
Yeah.
You know, how quickly, when you say a blink of the eye, this is what happened, this is exactly what happened. It happened so quick. And the decline, my decline was just, amazing to me. I couldn't believe what was happening. In January 2007, right after that, they said that the heart repair was good, and they went in and they wanted to take both kidneys out because those kidneys had to come out to prepare me for my transplant.
Okay.
And they went in and took those out. They were 12 and 13 pounds apiece when they came out.
Wow.
Your kidney is about that big.
Right. The kidney is the average size of your fist.
Yeah. So
each one of your kids, one kidney was 12 pounds and the other one was 14 pounds?
Yeah. And I have some pictures. I don't want you to be a little squeamish.
Okay.
I'd like to show them to you because I didn't realize how sick I was until I saw these. My urologist was Dr. Gillette.
Oh, wow, Bill.
That is one kidney coming out.
That's one kidney?
And they take those out the front.
Okay.
Here is another one.
Oh, and he's holding it.
And he is holding it with both hands. And you can see the cysts that are on the exterior part of the kidney. Those are the things those are really painful.
Yes.
But when I saw those, I realized how sick I was,
So did you have a distended abdomen or anything?
Yep. My belly was huge, and it was so hard to work because I had to put the duty belt on and my bulletproof vest. That was excruciating. No one realized how much that hurt.
And did they know they were that large before they were removed?
I didn't know. Nobody knew how big they were.
Okay. I can imagine how shocked everybody were.
Yeah, when he opened me up, because they got to take everything out to take those kidneys out.
That's right. So
it was just amazing. So I that was about a 10-month recovery from that.
Okay.
In 2007, I received a call from St. Mary's where I was registered for my transplant. And they were going to give me a kidney. And I was thrilled because it happened so quick. But right after, I had received a blood transfusion a couple of weeks prior. And as you know, as a transplant patient, you've got to have a special one if you need that.
Yes.
And for some reason, that wasn't done. And I was given a regular transfusion. Once they found that out, that took me out of the loop for that kidney, and I lost that chance in 2007.
Okay.
So then I went on, continued dialysis from 2007 to 2010, and my health deteriorated horribly. I really didn't think I was going to make it at that point because I was that sick. In 2010, in October, St. Mary's contacted me again, and they said that they had a living donor that wanted to give a kidney to somebody. And that was a perfect match for me.
Okay.
Perfect. From a living donor. I was thrilled, I was just like, wow. Mm-hmm. So went down there and did the workup and everything. And then there's so much to keep up on this. But yes. I was told that they had not did a procedure to keep my bladder large enough to receive the transplant.
Okay.
And they did not have time, and they didn't think that it would stretch enough for me to receive the transplant.
There are a lot of procedures that we don't necessarily know about when it comes to needing a transplant or the process that it takes to go through to receive a transplant.
Yeah, you sure don't. There's 100 that are just brutal,
Yes.
And you don't learn about those.
But they are all very essential.
Yes.
And they're all very essential to make sure that transplant will withstand time.
And I didn't realize how much of a patient advocate I needed to be.
Yes.
And I at that time found a patient advocate, my sister, who works in healthcare up here.
Okay.
But I lost that chance for the transplant again.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not very happy. And I left St. Mary's and went to Henry Ford.
Okay.
That was in January 2011. So I had now been sick for, excuse me, about 10 or 11 years. 11 years. And when I entered Henry Ford, I started the application process in January. And they didn't understand why I couldn't have that transplant at St. Mary's because they accepted me into their transplant program. I said, well, they won't do a transplant on me because of this bladder problem. Will I find the same thing here? They assured me that I wouldn't. And months later, I was accepted in March. And on June 24th of the same year, in 2011, I received the call for transplant.
Wow. So I do know that every transplant center in the state of Michigan has different protocols. Some of them have very, very similar protocols, but some of them may have like one or two differences.
And this, exactly. And this is where a transplant patient needs to do their research to make sure that the facility that you're going to go to is you're familiar with it, and all of these checks are being done. I was devastated after the second loss of the kidney.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good thing the third kidney came so quick. Mm-hmm. I wasn't doing well, and I was losing hope, and that's the biggest thing to have.
Yes.
So on June 24th, on June 24th, I received that call. I went home and started packing and was just freaking out. 20 minutes later, they called and said, "Don't come."
Oh.
And I couldn't believe it.
Wow. I know you were devastated.
They said, "Wait by the phone, though." Mm-hmm. And the next morning, I received the call to get down there.
Okay.
And I drove down, and as soon as I got there, they took me in. And, I'd been on dialysis 3 times a week, for a long time. And I went in and did the operation like at 11 at night or so. And when I woke up the next morning, you're, say again, a blink of an eye, I was so sick. I couldn't urinate. There were no kidneys. I was on dialysis 3 times a day. When I woke up that morning, Everything was changed.
Everything. Isn't that amazing?
I didn't have to do dialysis anymore when they took everything off and turned everything on. It was like, I got a second chance in life. So,
isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it was just stunning.
So when did you, after waking up from your surgery or your transplant, when did you officially know I have a new chance at life?
Well, it had to have been the next week after I got home and I wasn't going to dialysis.
Okay.
And it was weird because I was preparing myself to go, thinking I was going. It's a big mental thing,
It is.
and then just didn't have to anymore. And that was unbelievable,
Yeah.
unbelievable. But and then that was in June of 2011. In January, I was back on skis, and
That soon.
well, yeah, I wasn't very pretty
Okay.
at all, but I was back on skis, and that was what got me through the whole thing. And the end goal was I wanted to get back, on skis and back to that life that I had. So that was important, But it doesn't stop. I've had with the anti-rejection drugs, I've had some skin cancer stuff through the last few years, and going through a med change right now to better meds. As time goes on, so it's always a evolving thing.
And science is constantly changing. And the medications that they are creating or not even creating, the medications that they are enhancing for transplant patients seem to amaze me every day. And transplants are being able to be kept longer and longer and longer because of the advancement of science.
And, statistically, 10 years, I've gone a long time.
Yes.
And still doing the same as I did the first day. It's a lot of work as far as nutrition and upkeep of my health. I'll say right now, as weird as it sounds, I'm healthier now than I was before I got sick. So
I believe you. I guarantee you probably go to the doctor more often. You make sure you take your medication properly. You are now listening more to your body than you have listened to your body before.
And the food that I prepare and eat, is a big part of that. Is keeping me healthy.
Yes. So, Bill, let me ask you another question. If you could motivate somebody who is waiting for a life-saving transplant, what would you say to them?
Well, I think the first thing is to be the biggest advocate you can be for yourself. Take control of the situation. Be knowledgeable about what is going on. And if you have that, you can deal with what's coming because the realism of what's happening. But don't hold out hope, The road can be very, very long and very hard. There'll be some dark days. But know that if you do what they tell you, well, here's a quick story. First day I sat down with my first nephrologist. He told me, Bill, this is probably going to kill you. It's that bad. I got up and I left. I fired him right there because I wasn't going to die and I wanted somebody more positive.
Yes.
I was going to set the tone for what I was going to have to go through.
And I like that you said you found somebody that could set the tone for what you were going through.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want him to be just another patient to somebody.
Right.
I wanted him to have a plan for me to get through this. And even though the odds were against me, they said, if there's a possibility you can get through this if you do everything right.
And look at you now, Bill.
Hey, well,
10 years later after a transplant. Look at
so
you now.
I'm pretty happy that, that I listened. I was a little more aggressive in my doctor's choices. I've
Okay.
got rid of some that didn't fit what I needed.
Okay.
And I have always thought that way. I highly respect them, but I guess the thing I always say to people is doctors and mechanics, there are good ones and bad ones,
Mm-hmm.
or not so good ones. Seek out the best, and make it a good fit for you. Because that's what you're going to need. I have fantastic doctors. Fantastic.
So, Bill, how excited were you to get back on the skis?
It was, I was so excited. I didn't realize how weak I had become.
Oh.
I was 200 pounds when I got sick. I was 127 when I got the transplant. So I was really excited, but boy, it was a wake-up call. I really didn't realize how bad things had gotten.
So did you have to start conditioning and everything to build
Oh
back up?
yeah, I had to start, exercising and slowly, set some realistic goals for myself, not to push too far. But it took way longer than I thought
Mm-hmm.
that it would to recover. I thought, well, great, I got a transplant in a year. Everything's going to be great.
Right.
Well, that was, it's been a long time now, but I would say it was 6, 7 years. It was a hard road to recover. So,
Wow.
be realistic about it.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Well, Bill, I just want to thank you for coming on here and sharing your story with us. I am quite sure that your story has influenced many others to become their own advocate. And not to just become their own advocate, but to get out and share their stories with others. I do have one more question for you. And that last question is, if you could speak directly to your donor and your donor family, what would you say to them?
Oh boy, what an unselfish act in the worst time of their life. It gave me my life back. So
Mm-hmm.
it's overwhelming. That gift is the ultimate. So I could just say that there's no bigger gift that you can give somebody than their life back.
Yeah. Well, Bill, thank you again for sharing your story with us. I don't think many people understand how far the words thank you go,
Yeah.
um, and how sincere people are when they say thank you and how they mean it when
Yeah.
they're saying thank you.
Well, it is. Nobody realizes what that gift is until you receive it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can definitely second that. Nobody understands how precious life is until you almost don't have it.
Yep. Yeah. When you come that close, getting it back is
Yes,
amazing.
it is.
So,
Well, once again, thank you, Bill. I
thank
look
you,
forward
Tanisha.
to, you're welcome. I look forward to working with you in the future and continuing to share your story. You have such a great personality.
Well,
And
thank you.
I hope one day I can come up there and you can teach me a couple of things with the skis.
Well, we certainly will do that.
We'll certainly work on it. So thank you, Bill. And
Okay,
thank you
thank
to our
you.
audience for taking the time to watch us or have the conversation with us today about what happens in the blink of an eye. Um, as always, if you would like to join this conversation, you can email me at tcampbell@golm.org or visit us at Volunteer Hub to sign up. And don't forget to visit us at golm.org to sign up on the organ donor registry.
Please do that.
Yes. And continue to join us here for more conversations of what happens in the blink of an eye. Until then, we look forward to seeing you and thank you for joining the Blink.
Thank you.
Bye.